Hey up everyone, Demis Hellen here, and in this video we're going to recreate the pluck uncertainty from my new Vital Trance Plucks bank. If you haven't seen the audio demo already, you can check that on screen right now, but we're going to create pluck uncertainty here in Vital, and we're going to drop it into a little bit of a mix that I've just pre-built so you can hear it in context. So let's not ramble on, let's get straight into the video. So here's the demo audio. I'll just show you pluck uncertainty that we're going to be recreating today. Let's get started. So I'm just going to solo pluck uncertainty remake. And we're going to get the same sound. We can go back and reference this sound if we want to on the original pluck uncertainty. So this consists of 3 oscillators. So turn all of your oscillators on. Send all of them to filter 1, like so. And the first 2 oscillators have the maximum of 16 voices. The last one has 1 voice only, and then these 2 are going to have a blend of 6% unison. We're going to set the phase to 0, so we've got a nice offset, and we're going to leave the other oscillator at the end as it is. And that will give us this. With that done, turn on filter 1. Turn the resonance off or down to 0 and leave it in its exact position as you can see there. And that gives us our general sound, but everything's going to be shaped via the envelopes. So to start, I'm going to leave decay where it is, and I'm just going to shape it with the sustain to say about here. So let's just have a look at this. And increase the release. And finally, just drop the attack to 0 there. Envelope 2 is going to be controlling the filter because the filter is closed at the moment, and this is going to be responsible for opening the filter to get you that nice plucky sound, and it's going to be roughly the same as envelope 1. And we'll start by dragging and dropping envelope 2 down to the filter here. So now this is going to control the opening of our filter from our point that we've set the filter at. And obviously that doesn't sound great, and we're going to shape this envelope here. It's going to be roughly the same with a few tweaks to envelope 1. Now we can move on to envelope 3, and we're also going to control the filter cutoff here, and it's going to be controlling more of the pluck, the spike of the pluck, and it can be controlled by a macro as well, like it is in the actual preset that I've released. And this is going to be controlled just simply using the decay and the sustain, so we get something like this, and then I'm just going to extend the release like that. And that's just going to make sure that the filter doesn't close too quickly and lose the element of that pluck. It's letting the sustain of envelope 1 continue even in the filter. I'm going to drag and drop that onto there as well. But this is going to be controlled by macro 1. So we can drag and drop that onto there. So now that cannot be activated until we turn macro 1. And we'll call it pluck. Now envelope 1 is going to be turned down, so we've got a very subtle pluck happening here. And then if we increase the pluck, we have control over how much of that pluck can come through. So we've got the initial pluck design, and then we've got an overlay. Just think as envelope 3 as the secondary envelope controlling the same filter, and we can control how much of the filter is opened by that envelope. And you can see that's giving more flexibility to your sound design and how you can integrate that into a track. So instead of moving the filter around to create a different depth in your pluck, we're actually moving the envelope around. So we're actually controlling how much influence, how much percentage of that envelope is going to be affecting the filter. And just before we get started on the effects, just a side note here, you can see that we're using the built-in oscillators here. So we're using the built-in wavetables that come with Vital. And I want to really show you in the pack how Vital can really sound great. And it's all about how you use Vital rather than what you put into Vital. Albeit there's a couple of presets in there that are using the JP8000 waveframe in there as well. So if you want to get hold of that waveframe as well, you can just by purchasing the pack. And in summary, you can see we've got 3 oscillators, 16 voices on 2, 1 on the other, and then we've got a 6% spread on there, and we've left this one as it is. Changed the phase, so we've got a nice offset between the two, and we're not going to talk about phase, but just trust me on that one, it's going to sound a lot better. Then this is going through filter 1, as we've routed all of them through to filter 1. Use the analog 12 dB, 0% on your resonance. Envelopes are shaped as so, to give you a nice pluck. And these 2 envelopes maintain the pluck length by having release on there as well. Because if you shorten down the release, you're going to hear the filter shut down really quickly and it's going to sound quite odd and discombobulated. So just like this. Just sounds a little bit weird. That's just to maintain the pluck and the length of the pluck and just keep it nice and floaty. Okay, let's finish off this page. We've just got one more thing to do on the oscillator, and then we're going to jump into the effects. So let's compare this to the original. Obviously, we haven't got our effects on yet. It's lacking a bit of depth, and that's because oscillator 3 is actually 1 octave below, just to give it a little bit of low end. And then this is blended using a macro. So for now, we'll just quickly set the macro up. I'll drag and drop that on there. Set it to roughly where it was before. And that's going to give us the option to mix in this lower oscillator and just give it a little bit of weight. But for this demonstration, we are just going to keep it at the 2 oscillators here. We're not actually hearing this one in our current demo. So I'm just going to call that octave and then we know what that is. Okay, so we've got the whole sort of front page nailed now. We can jump into the effects. And what we're going to add is some delay, some reverb, and a bit of distortion. And I'm going to put them in this particular order. So we're going to have reverb, delay, and distortion last. So let's start with the reverb. We're going to turn off delay and distortion, just keep them there for now. We're going to chop some of the lows out here. So I'm going to start with sort of like an 80 Hertz area cutoff, just so we're not accentuating the lows too much and making it sound muddy. Increase the time. In quick summary, remove the lows out of the reverb so we're not getting muddiness added into the mix. We can increase the size and the time to get the desired effect where we want it to sit in the mix. Next up is delay. I'm going to set this to stereo mode so we get a nice stereo effect. And I'm going to set this to 1/2 because this is quite a slow paced track. It's 1/2 and 1/4, but we're going to have a dotted 1/4 here on the right ear. I'm going to set the spread down like so, and then move the cutoff along. So we're not really shaving out the highs really, we're just going for the lows here and doing a bit of a cutout on the delay. And then I'm just going to bring the mix down to taste. You can hear chopping the lows out is making sure it doesn't get too muddy and we're not getting extra detail in there. That's going to get conflicted with our low end of the mix. Keeping the high end in, sometimes I roll off the high end if we don't want too much of that coming through on the delay, but for now that's absolutely fine. And you can hear that the slower times are working a lot better than something fast because that's going to muddy up the sound as well in this particular rhythm. And then finally, it goes through distortion. So if we turn distortion on, this is not actually linked to any of this sort of processing. This is an extra tip that you can add on to create something different in your mix. And we're going to use the down sample. I'm going to turn the mix down to 0, connect macro 3 to the mix, and that's it. We're just going to leave it on its default setting in this case. And there we have it. We have a complete preset, which is the Pluck Uncertainty. And I'm going to show you in context now in the mix using this actual one. We've got a little bit of processing on here. We've got some compression, EQ, and some sidechain on there as well. When we say sidechain, we mean volume shaping, but it's mimicking sidechain. Some people are getting a little confused with me referring to it as sidechain. And there we have it, one completed preset. That is Pluck Uncertainty. So feel free to go back through the video if you've missed anything and just make sure you've got the right positions on everything, and you're going to have that preset for free. And after building this preset, if you're wanting to expand more of your plucks in your trance collection, you can do so by clicking here on screen now. And with that said, thank you very much for watching. If you're new around here and you did enjoy the video, please consider subscribing. That is a big help, and it just helps get these videos out to more like-minded producers and sound designers. And if you have any questions about what you've seen in today's video, please let me know down in the comments. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.